So, boxing promoter Eddie Hearn is throwing shade at the UFC, making bold claims like they lack stars, that boxing is the superior and more trending product in 2025. Oh my, oh my. And of course, he does it with Ariel Helwani, who's absolutely loving the negativity talk towards the UFC because in this modern era, him getting banned from events in the past and whatnot, he's hate watching the UFC. I think this is completely wrong. I am going to dismantle Eddie Hearn and Ariel Helwani's arguments against the UFC. Downright incorrect and false information that they're passing as fact and putting out and adding to the fire of this BS narrative that the UFC is falling off. It's pushed by MMA casuals and boxing pundits alike. And I'm here to tell you guys they're full of crap. All right. We're going to jump right into the reaction. I have clips from Ariel Helwani's show that I want to talk about and break down and give an accurate analysis of what is actually true as opposed to the crap that I'm hearing. All right. Clip number one, the main clip of them all.
Like if you said to me now, name me 6 UFC superstars, I couldn't do it. I could give you the ones that seem to keep losing quite a bit and then just come back. Do you know what I mean? But, but again.
What do you mean? Because I don't know what you mean, Eddie Hearn. There are plenty of UFC stars. What are you talking about? Only Conor McGregor is considered a star. He has to be a mega star across all sports to be considered a star in the UFC. What is this garbage? Islam Makhachev's an international star. Ilia Topuria is a star now. Alex Pereira is absolutely a star. Paddy Pimblett is a star on the rise right now. John Jones is an all-time star of the game. That's 5 off rip right there, just bullshit and bantering. But are you forgetting about somebody else? Are you forgetting Hamzat Chimaev exists? What are you talking about? There's stars left and right in the UFC. Now, is every star need to overtake all sport worldwide? Is that the only way it works? There can only be a star in MMA if it's McGregor level. If it's not McGregor or Habib, they're not stars anymore. What are you on about, Eddie Hearn? We're talking about stars. Oh, well, stars, UFC stars. Do you guys know how many followers Canelo's opponent has that he's taken on this weekend in a pay-per-view fight, high-level Riyadh season boxing? Oh, well, it's a mandatory title challenger. Bro, it's a world champion in boxing. 20,000 followers. So Canelo, the biggest star in boxing, and give him his credit, he's got a shitload of followers, all right? This guy's got 20,000. William Skull. And I bet he's a great boxer. He's 23-0. Great. IBF world champ. Great. A world champion in boxing can have less notoriety than prelim fighters in the UFC. Do you understand where I'm getting at? How the fuck is this the argument that the UFC is somehow falling off? The UFC is a machine. And maybe right now we don't have a sport-changing star like a Conor McGregor. We don't. Maybe not. But we do have some badass stars in the game. Maybe not a megastar across the billboards and everything, but we do have stars right now. Stop it with this delusion. And I'm not saying boxing doesn't have stars, but boxing was on its last leg a handful of years ago, and Jake Paul brought it back from the brink of death, okay? And then Turkey Al-Sheikh jumped in, and now they got the billionaire support. What are we talking about? Now boxing's just so much better. The UFC's falling off. And of course, Ariel loves it. Ariel, what the hell, man? The reason you're here is because the UFC. Personal issues aside, Ariel was made from doing UFC interviews. They gave him a media pass back in the day. That's how I discovered him 10, 15 years ago. Crazy. Crazy. Crazy to me. And speaking of followers and viewership, right? At 39:30, Eddie Hearn says this.
In all the narrative, digitally, across social media, on a far different level to MMA and UFC right now.
Is this actually true or just hearsay you're pushing? Do you have statistical evidence to back this up? Or are you just saying, oh, well, it's just bigger? Because William Skull's got 20,000 followers. And he had 19,000 yesterday when I came up with the idea for this video. And that's the guy fighting your biggest star in the sport. Could you imagine the biggest star in the UFC right now? Let's say big stars, Pereira or Makhachev. Can you imagine they find a guy with 20,000? This guy's on the prelims of UFC cards that have more than double that. There's guys making debuts with more following than that. You come off Contender Series with more notoriety than that. Get out of my face with this garbage narrative. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's utter bullshit. You understand? It's utter bullshit. I feel as though it's like just a propaganda machine for boxing being pushed. And I've always stood up for boxing when people said it was dead. I said, no, it isn't. I said, boxing's still here. Boxing's still good. Boxing still has interesting matchups to be made. A lot of times they do bullshit fights, like a guy with 20,000 followers who's a no name essentially versus Canelo. But regardless, I always stood on business for it. But boxing now standing against MMA, they have a little bit of a run in boxing. Oh, MMA, you guys are falling off again. Oh, it was just a spectacle. My God. My God. Now, Ariel Helwani here. Again, Ariel Helwani, MMA OG of the journalism game and the coverage. I used to be watching the MMA beat every single week. But now he's an anti-UFC fan. He hates the UFC. Let's listen.
But just, I'm delighted to be a part of
I
it.
think part of the problem is the UFC got so big that, like I referred to it last week, it's become McDonald's. So it's all.
My man just called the UFC McDonald's. McDonald's makes a tasty but mediocre hamburger. Okay? The UFC puts on the most violent and most entertaining and most high action fights on the motherfucking planet Earth. On the planet. And you are going to compare, you're going to sit there and compare the UFC to McDonald's. Really? This is what we're doing, Ariel. We're comparing the UFC to McDonald's. The UFC just got compared to fucking Mickey D's. I think that is a delusional comparison that holds no weight in a true argument. The UFC is a massive sports league. If you want to compare it to the NFL, we can have a conversation. But McDonald's? It's the same thing over and over. Yeah, people fight in a fucking cage every week. Yes. And a lot of people watch, and there's new fighters every week. What the hell is being talked about? Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. This is delusional. This is downright. This is just anti-UFC propaganda. That's all it is. It's a propaganda machine. Let's listen some more.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, but for me, I'm a storyteller, right? So every show has a narrative.
Yes.
This is not Matchroom 36. No. This is Boots Ennis against Stanionis back at the Boardwalk Court, Atlantic City.
What are we talking about? Because it's UFC 300? Because we had UFC 314? Because they keep track of the pay-per-view events as a league? Oh, but no, ours is not like that. We're Matchroom, Boots Ennis versus whoever the fuck. The UFC, no. We're not like that. What do you want to? Oh, I tell a story. We tell stories. There was no storytelling with Diego Lopez and Volkanovski. Up and coming, dangerous contender, right? Who looked pretty damn good. Diego Lopez seeming like he might be destined to be a champion versus the old king, one of the GOATs, Alexander Volkanovski. There's no storytelling there. Only boxing tells stories, guys. Only the rivalry between the Eubank and the Ben family. That's all. That's it. That's it. That's what we're on about. Really. You're talking about our storytelling. Now, we'll give boxing some respect. They do a cool job making it very theatrical with the walkouts and whatnot. And I think that's special to boxing. The UFC isn't into that. They like real pit fighting style walkouts. Like there's an aura of like, yo, this is about to be a dogfight. They don't need an orchestra playing music and people sitting there with violins as the fighters walk out. We don't need a 20-minute walkout to watch a UFC fight. Thank God. We like it quick. We like to actually watch the fight. A lot of times, let's be honest, the boxing fights have less entertainment over the 12 rounds than a UFC fight has in 3. Okay? That's the truth of the matter. That's the reality of the fact. Stop it, Eddie Hearn. Stop it, Ariel, backing them up. Cut it out. Cut it out right now. Cut it out right now. Oh, my. Oh, my. Oh, my. Let's listen to, is this the timestamp I wanted? No, I'm a minute ahead. I'm fucking going too rambling mode. I'm freaking out. Here we go.
I don't think if they all of a sudden had these massive fights happening and Conor was fighting and all this kind of stuff, we'd be talking about it's a bit samey and they're all wearing the same stuff. I don't, but you can.
So you guys both said that they have no presentation. There's nothing unique about it. There's no storytelling. Oh, but if Conor was fighting, it wouldn't matter because he'd be a star. Which one is it? Which one is it? Is the problem the lack of uniqueness or is it the lack of stars? Because Eddie Hearn stood here and said that it's a lack of star thing. Now it's the product thing. Ariel Helwani saying it's the product and Hearn agreeing with him. What are they on about? They just got a problem with the UFC. They're just hoping that boxing takes over. Come on, man. I know Eddie Hearn is a boxing promoter, and of course, he is going to take any motherfucking opportunity to stand on business and make boxing look better than MMA. Absolutely. But Ariel should be down the center and keeping it a buck, but he has his issues with MMA that he's not letting go of from fucking, a decade back, UFC 200. See, we got more. We got more. And I think this sentence here kills the argument. Listen to this.
Look, like if they had, I don't know, Conor McGregor fighting, if Khabib was still around, I'm a bit of a casual.
Yeah,
forgive me, but
Huh? Oh, I'm a bit of a casual, forgive me. So what the fuck are you talking about then? Why are you talking about MMA if you're a casual then? If you don't know anything about it, if you are literally referring to Conor McGregor and Khabib as the only fighters that you can think of in your mind, you are beyond the casual. You know nothing of the sport. So quiet down. So quiet down. Don't come and talk shit about the UFC and push these falsehoods on a relatively large platform for, the glaze of boxing and the trashing of MMA, because I'm not going to stand for it. I'll stand on the UFC and I'll dismantle the arguments you guys are putting together because it's just not true. It's the propaganda machine. Ariel Helwani, shame on you for not having MMA's back, because MMA always had yours in the early days. And shit, I'm sure a lot of fighters still do. They bring you on. Now, you're letting this guy bash the product? Now, as a boxing promoter, Eddie Hearn is quite good. I'm not taking anything away from what he does, but don't come here and say the UFC is somehow a subpar sport or a subpar product. I know MMA is the sport. I know I'm going to hear some pundits. It's not a subpar product. It's actually better. It's better. Fights are better. Fights are better by a long shot. The star of boxing fights this Saturday. That's another thing Ariel was hyping up. Yo, look at this weekend's fights. He hypes them up. Okay. Listen, let's listen to this weekend's fights. All right? Let's listen. And there's good fights in boxing. There's good boxing matches, for sure. Let's listen real quick.
zone, you've got Friday night in Times Square with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez. 24 hours later, you've got Canelo Alvarez's debut in Saudi Arabia for the Undisputed Championship. That's within 24 hours.
So you have Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, all on the same card, but none of them fighting each other. You have a little bit of confusion on my front, to be honest with you, because doesn't everybody in boxing want to watch Devin Haney rematch Ryan Garcia? Fuck, the screen went blank over here. Right? This doesn't make any sense to me. But instead, what? I'm trying to get a better understanding here of what you mean by this. You're flexing the name value on the card, taking on subpar opposition. Is that what it is? So Canelo fighting Skull is bigger than MMA because Canelo's fighting, even though he's fighting a guy that nobody knows. I mean, Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia is actually a cool fight. I give credit. I told you I'm gonna give credit where it's due. I like that matchup, but everybody wants to see Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney too. It's not so much of a flex. I mean, yeah, it's cool they're doing it in Times Square. I think that's awesome. I think there's cool elements to it to have spectacles like that, but that can't be an argument to why it's a superior product in the UFC. Oh, because the UFC they do events. At the Apex, it's annoying. I'm not fucking arguing. At the Apex, sometimes it's annoying. Yeah. And sometimes UFC puts on weak-ass cards at the Apex. Sure, I'll tell it as it is. But fight nights and normally, every damn pay-per-view, there's some thunder brought. And the UFC is by far the number one in combat sport. And as soon as we get some marquee fight announcements for this summer or later this year, all this bullshit narrative of the UFC being done for are going to quiet down. Okay? Enough said. My case is closed. My argument, I think, is pretty damn strong. And I think it's a winning one. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or do you think the UFC's fallen off? Are you with Eddie Hearn? Are you with Eddie Hearn? Do you think the UFC is falling off? Boxing's taking over? No, no, no. I don't believe it. Smash the likes if you guys enjoyed. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Much love to everybody watching. I want to hear all of you in the comments. Let me down below. I promised you guys this video. I promised you guys a passionate rant. So I hope you enjoyed the hell out of it. Big W's to everybody watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.